Let me first tell you what DevOps actually is. Just according to the definition, what does it say? That it's a collaboration of development and ops. But exactly it is not the case. It is a process actually. Process in the sense, normally what happens in a software company, people write code. Those people are called developers. Okay, they write programs. And then they compile that code. Suppose it's a Java program, then you need to compile it. That forms a binary, and that binary will be executable, and it runs in a server from where people will get certain front end through which they communicate with the software. So that's one part, that the developer develops and then compiles the code, it goes to a server. Okay. And on the other hand, how does this entire flow happens? Let's now break it down. It should not be like this, that the developer will develop and just compile and send it to the server. It should not be like this. What if the code has some problem, or it is not well written or having errors? So in between, there are other processes as well. Like the developer develops, then it goes to a QA guy. QA, the quality assurance guy, who actually tests the code if everything is fine. Then he passes it on to the ops people. Ops people are those who are taking care of the servers, the networking, and the deployment. So when everything falls into place, then only it goes to production. So this is how normally it happens. But since there are different types of people involved in it, like a developer has different skill set. He's a programmer. A quality assurance guy, he's a tester. He knows how to test code. He might not be very good at programming, but he can test the application. And the ops people, they may be good at the operating system, networking, and everything, but they might not be very good at programming. So in order to bring everything in one table, we have certain practices, which is DevOps. Okay, so the agenda for today would be to understand what are the development methodologies we have for software development, and then we will move on to the new concept, or the DevOps. Like you have to first understand what traditional things are going on in the industry. Like all companies now in the world are not adopting DevOps, have not yet adopted. That is why we are telling this is a very good career opportunity, because around till now, around 20% of companies have started adopting DevOps. Like it is very new. Like from 2009 it has started, so around 2011 some big companies started adopting it, and now everyone is jumping into DevOps. All companies are talking about Agile, Scrum, DevOps, these kind of concepts. So these are some new words you would be hearing all through the training course. So I'll explain each and every of this jargon. Whenever you have doubts, you can ask me also. So DevOps practices are now the being adopted by all companies, and just only 20% have adopted them. So most of them are going to come in and adopt this methodology. In order to understand how to adopt this, you have to first understand how the existing ones work, and what are their problems, so that we can implement DevOps practices and remove those problems. So we will go through that, and then we will move on to understand what are the various kinds of tools we will use to DevOps. Like DevOps cannot be just implemented like that. There should be some programs, softwares which you will use and adopt these practices. So those are called the building blocks of DevOps, and these tools will enable you to adopt the automated DevOps pipeline, the infrastructure. So I'll teach you how to use those tools, what are those tools and how they work. And after that we'll discuss I'll give you just an introduction of those tools today, and in subsequent sessions we will be using one by one of those tools, and you will learn how they are being used. And then we will learn about the benefits of DevOps. So that you already know that makes development life cycle faster and more reliable. So we'll discuss more into that, and then we'll discuss some best practices of DevOps. So that would be all for today's session, because till then you will be overloaded with lots of information, I know. But you try to, once the session is over, you will try to, then regress it. You will revise it in your minds, and for the next week you will try to read about it in the internet, so that when we come into the next class, then we can do more and more hands-on. So first of all, let's discuss a bit about this, like who should benefit by doing the DevOps. So everyone who is in IT industry, that's fine for them to come and learn DevOps, and even managers who are in the leadership team and operation software people, everyone. And even like Tanay said, if someone is wanting to switch into IT, he should learn DevOps and can easily assimilate, because DevOps gives you an entire picture of the entire IT industry. So that is it. And there are some prerequisites. Actually, they are not mandatory, but they are good to have. So if you know anything about waterfall or agile, then it's good. Do you know about, have you heard about these models in anyone?
Yes,
Waterfall
Mr.
model.
Michael, we are, I know about this one, but not more
Okay.
information.
Okay, then I'll explain you. And for Tanay, no problem. I'll tell you
No,
what
no.
these are. These
Okay.
are just concepts. These are just concepts. I'll explain what they are. These are used for software development life cycle. So I'll explain what they are. And those who are in testing, they should know all these things. So we will cover them. Then these are some good to have prerequisites, but no problem. They are not mandatory. Okay. And you should know about network management, infrastructure, a little bit of coding standards. So these are some good to have prerequisites, but even if you don't have, don't worry, we will, by the towards the end of the course, you would be knowing most of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first, let me tell you what DevOps culture is. Like, people think DevOps is a job or a kind of, it's not like that. Being a developer is okay, it's a job. Like, a developer writes code, or a tester, he tests software in the IT industry. A system administrator, he will deploy in various operating systems. So this is how they are differentiated. But what is DevOps? It is not actually a job. It is a practice. It's a culture. Like, say, I'll ask you a question. Like, there is a developer, okay, and he writes code, but can he deploy anything in the server or do a real-time troubleshooting? Uh, have any idea about that? Like a
Like,
developer?
he need to do it in the, you can say, in the development
Yes.
environment, and
Mm-hmm.
after it is working fine, then he can do a test development. After the
Correct.
code is perfect, then they can go to
Yes.
production.
But he would not be given access to a live server, right? He will
Right,
do it in his own development server or staging server or his own machine. Okay.
right.
So he doesn't learn about the real life troubleshooting, like whatever happens in real life in a server, he doesn't have exposure to it. But an ops guy, he knows that when server is down or there is showing some error like 404 page not found or 500 internal server error, these terms he would be facing in live server and fixing it. But the development guy, he would not be able to know what is going on in live server. So this is one. Next, similarly, as a operations person, the operation person, suppose there is an error and showing in the screen, which seems to be something related to a software bug. And the ops guy, mostly what he can do, he can check the logs in the server and know that there is some problem, but he cannot fix it. He has to go to the developer and tell that there is some program error, so you fix it. So this is another demerit, like being an ops guy, being a dev guy, it's a demerit that you don't have access to troubleshooting. So there should be a collaboration between the development team and the ops team so that they work hand in hand and resolve issues. Each one should know everything. I mean, that is how DevOps works. Like, you do not have to be a good programmer, but you should know that how development works or how it can be automated so that the person doesn't have to do anything in hand. If there is an error, it would not at all come to production. It would be somewhere filtered before coming to production. So the ops guy won't have to deal with it. So that is how this one happens, the DevOps. So the DevOps culture has a few uh, there are certain good practices and some fundamentals. So one of them is partnership. Like, a DevOps should always partner between the operations and development. That's how a DevOps team is formed. And then DevOps gives you being a control in the IT infrastructure. Like, you know about development, you have automated the entire thing, and you know about operations as well. And that leads to faster deployments, because as I told you, I will teach you about some tools later on. So those tools help in completely automating the infrastructure. So that is how the DevOps saves time for a company. Like, it does not happen manually. Like, people write code manually, that is where it ends. And after that, when they build and then put it into the server, that every process is managed by some tools, and makes the entire thing completely automated. So that is how DevOps works, and that is what DevOps culture is, to automate everything and work hand in hand with all departments. Okay, so what are the various building blocks of DevOps? First is code, which the developer writes, and then the code is built. Built means compiling code. Like in computer science, when you write a code in Java, you compile it into a binary, or in C#, if you write a code, then you compile to a .exe. Okay, so that is the build process. And once the code is compiled and built, it is executable. So it can be executed in a server, and then it is tested, and then it is packaged. Packaging means, like you have heard, like all the packages which we download. Say you want to install an application, the Skype application or this GoToMeeting application. Then you download a software, the exe file if you're in Windows, and then install it. So that is a package. Okay, and then you might have seen those packages have version number, version 1.0, 2.0. So that is how that is the release, like which version of software has what features, and that would keep on increasing with the release. So that is release management. That is also a part of DevOps, and all these steps are automated. And then there is configuration management. Like, when you install it in some server, that server might be having some config files which has some details about where the software is kept and what port it should listen to, and such other configuration settings. So that is also managed here. And another building block of DevOps is application and infrastructure monitoring. Like, after the code is deployed, you have to monitor whether the server is running properly or not, if everything is up or not all the time, because all the websites, like you might have seen google.com, almost always whenever you open, you can see the site, it's never down. So how is that possible? That means they are monitoring it continuously. It might be going down, but they have some mechanism by which they do not make it obvious. You cannot see that Google is down. Maybe some server is going down, but they have a line of servers, and your request is served by any of those. So even if some of them are down, you would not be able to detect it. So that is how they manage the entire thing. And these are the various blocks of the DevOps. Like code, build and test, this part is taken care by the dev team, and this part is taken care by the operations team. But this is the scenario now. But after learning about the DevOps tools, the entire thing can be taken care by any person of the DevOps team. So that is the idea, how to do that, we'll do in this course. Okay.
Sure,
So
sure.
yes, to begin with, you might feel some concepts, there's so many concepts are being told, whether I will be able to do it or not. But it's not that. When you start using those tools, that is the real DevOps work you would be doing.
Right,
But
right.
since this is the introductory session, today you will just learn about, you will hear about various concepts, what it exactly are. Even if you can get at least half of what I'm telling, then also I will be happy for today because
Yeah,
I know, because the first time when even I was introduced into all these concepts, then even I thought that what is going on, so many new words I'm hearing, and it's overwhelming. But it is actually not. When you start using the tools, you will understand that what you are doing actually. Okay.
oh, good.
And
These
yeah,
are like the practicals. It will be like how you will do the practical part.
I will do it in my system and share the screen. Okay. And you will see how and what I am doing. And then after this class, you will try it yourself in your own system, because normally we will have this weekend classes. So
Okay.
I'll show you, I'll share my screen and show you everything, how I'm
Hmm.
doing and what I am doing. So after that, once the class is over, later on you can try it in your own system. If you have any problem, you will mail us in that support@intellipad.com, and if
Right,
I'll clear the doubts and tell you how to do that. Or in the next class, we'll have a short time where we will solve those issues. Okay,
right,
so
right.
like
That
that.
will be great. That will be great.
Yeah.
DevOps is
So
a framework.
DevOps,
Sorry. Yeah.
no, DevOps is a practice. It is not actually a framework, but
Okay.
we have certain tools which I'll tell you, which are frameworks to implement DevOps. Okay.
Okay.
We have certain tools like Jenkins. There is one tool. I'll tell you how that is, how that works, and that is a framework which will allow you to implement the DevOps practice. Okay. It is not, DevOps itself is not a software or any framework. It is just a name of a practice where development and operation, everything happens together and in collaboration, and automation is applied so that things become automatic and fast. And also it follows a development methodology. Like I was telling you, about, there are two methodologies, waterfall and this agile.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
DevOps follows a methodology called Agile. We will discuss that. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, why are we using DevOps? The question is, as we already discussed, like dev people, they know half the story, and ops people know half the story in IT. They know how to write code and deploy, but don't know how to deploy. Ops people know how to deploy, but they don't know about the coding part. So in order to resolve this issue, we have this DevOps practices. And another thing, DevOps allow you to simplify and advocate agility. I'll tell you what Agile is. Agile is a kind of a framework and a practice. So in the next slide, we will discuss about that. And then measurable business benefits through integratable IT process means, as I said, when DevOps automates everything, and then everything is faster and quickly deployed, error free. So that's why it has business benefits. The company is able to do things faster and better. So DevOps helps in business. So that's why all companies are slowly moving to DevOps. Okay. Now, here, what are the common goals for a DevOps? We will do this very quickly. I'll tell this very quickly because I don't want to get you. I mean, you should not get overwhelmed by so much of text. We will better concentrate on the tools of DevOps rather than going through all those theories. So you can even yourself read this out. Okay. I'll
Right.
just tell you the common goals of DevOps practice. First is to increase the deployment frequency. That means, like I said, how does DevOps helps us? Uh, like I said, in a app development company, they quickly want to release app versions. Okay, so how can that be done in a normal IT scenario? It is not possible because the developer has to do everything manually and deployment is also manual. So DevOps has increased the deployment frequency. It has reduced the lead time for changes. Like if any small change occurs, then the automated tools help to make that change in the software very quickly. And there is faster recovery when problems occur. What does that mean? If the server is down or some software problems has occurred, since the DevOps tools are automated, they can roll back to the earlier working version. So very quickly everything happens. And there is a shift left in quality of code, testing and architecture. What does that mean? There is a complete change in the way things worked in testing and deployability because everything has been automated. If the tests for a certain code fails, then automatically it gets rolled back. It is not implemented in the production version. And finally, there are some feedback loops, like since all the teams are working together as one team, the DevOps team, so they communicate more, because normally what happens in companies where there are no DevOps teams, there is a different dev team and a different ops team. So in those cases, what happens, they do not communicate much. Only when the development is over, they will tell the ops team that you can apply this code in the server. So in such cases, it happens that the communication is not much between the teams, and they don't know much about each other, and when something fails, there is a blame game. So when DevOps team comes into picture, it takes care of this communication part, and there is a feedback loop. Like if there is a problem from the ops, they will tell the developers, and if there is a problem from developer side, they can effectively discuss and resolve them. So everyone is responsible. Okay, so that is one part. Now here are some concepts. So before going into that concept, let me first tell you something else, and then we will understand this diagram, because now if you go through this, you won't be able to understand much. So that's why let me just open a notepad. Okay, like I was telling you about that waterfall model and the agile model, right?
Yeah.
Let me just explain it a bit to you, so that you will know, because these are just theoretical parts. If being a DevOps guy, you would just use this as theory. This is not something which will help you when you're working on a server or you're working on a program. These are some theory, but these are important concepts. Okay, say you have to build a software. Okay, someone has given you the task to build a software, and say we want to build a mobile app or mobile app. Okay, so first what happens, what is the first stage before building the app? Say you want to build an app which will show you the scores of a football match. Okay, suppose it's a sports app which shows you what football matches are going today, what soccer matches are being played today, and what is the score. You want to see that. Okay, so first what happens, the first stage of that is conceptualization. Okay, 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 this is a okay, we can call it conception to be precise. Conception, what does that mean? We know that we discussed that what is going to be built, what should be the various features of that program. Okay, so that is the conception. Before building anything, you discuss with people, right, that what various features will be provided in the software, and how it will work. So discussion and conception. So that is first step. Then what happens after conception? There is another stage called initialization. And then we have, let me list it down, then I'll explain. Then we have analysis, then we have design, construction, and testing, and then deployment. Like what are this? Waterfall is a model of waterfall is a model which defines how a software is built. These are the various stages of the software development life cycle, and waterfall model tells us that everything should go one by one, not together. Okay, it should go one by one. First you should know the concept, and then you should initialize, like you should start the work, and then you should analyze what are the various features that we need to do and how it should work, and then you should design the software, and then once the design is done you should write code, that is construction. You should build the software, and then once it is built you should do the testing, and then once it is tested you should do the deployment. So these are the logical series of steps how a software is made, okay, how software is built. So first there is the conception, initialization, analysis, design, construction, testing, and development. And waterfall model, what it requires, that everything should happen in sequence. Like a waterfall, what happens? It is in first this one happens, then it goes top down. That is the idea. Like this one happens, then this one, then this one, then this, and this. So that is how a waterfall model work, and that is the existing or traditional idea.
It is basically dependent with each other, right?
Yeah, dependent on each other. If there is no concept, this guy cannot do any, what he will start with. Like initialization, he has to start the program, writing the program or doing analysis, but without a concept he cannot do. Even design, without knowing what they are going to build, the designer cannot design it. So everything is interdependent, okay, as you said. And also top down. So when this is not over, this cannot be started. When this is not over, this cannot be started. So this is how it works. And this is a traditional model. Why? Because DevOps does not use this. Okay, so we will learn what we use in DevOps and how we do. Normally this is how it happens now. Those companies who don't use DevOps, they do it this way. One by one they do it, and then they deploy it into the server. But this takes a lot of time, because suppose you have a ops guy, and here the development is going on at this stage. So ops guy is now free and sitting there. When when the software will be ready to deploy, then he will work overnight and build the server and deploy the code. At that time, these people would be having nothing to do. If there is, say there is just one project for that company. So this is not a very well balanced approach. So that's why and it takes a lot more time as well, because say something goes wrong in this model, since it is a top down, say something is wrong, nobody knows it until, suppose some developer knows, but he has somehow bypassed it or not told anyone. So until it goes to testing, this stage, nobody knows it. And then once the tester knows it, the tester will, the tester will send it back to this stage, analysis, okay, or conception as well, because suppose some concept is wrong, that's why it's not working. So they will again rethink about it and do things like that. Okay, so it works in that manner. So when it goes back again, so that is not a very good practice, because most of the people are again waiting that when the software, they will repair the whatever problem is there, it comes down again, then they work. So that is the traditional way. So most of the people are coming to office and not doing work. I mean, uh, they are not to blame, because it's a waterfall model. When their turn will come, they will act. Otherwise, they would not be working. Okay. So that is traditional method and takes more time. So for DevOps practices, we use a model called Agile. Okay. Agile model. But here, the interesting part is Agile model is having the same components as the uh, waterfall model. Okay, same components, but the manner of execution is not like that, the way it happens in the waterfall model. So let me tell you how it happens here. This part is done. This part is done. Let me first draw the interrelation, then I'll tell you what exactly it is. Like here, these three parts, okay, conception, initialization and analysis, these will go parallelly in agile model. Like they will all sit together and discuss what the concept is. Even the design team, development, testing, everyone will join that meeting. So everyone will together listen that what they are going to build. Okay, so this three steps will happen parallelly. They will learn the concept and then parallelly work on the initialization. And since all the members are there in that meeting and they know what is going on, so everyone will do the research that how this can be done. And similarly, once this phase is over, then parallelly uh, this phase happens. Like they do not wait until the entire software is built. Okay, they build small parts, send it for testing. They build small parts, the design is built, this guy writes code and sends to testing same time. Okay, so parallelly this part is happens for small portions of the software instead of doing the entire software and then testing. And even while doing the small portion, after testing, that is also tried out in the server by the ops guy. So this entire thing is continuously happening. Okay, so that is how it is different from the waterfall model. Not like the entire software is built, tested and then sent to the user or sent to the server. It happens like one feature they are doing it one day and then testing it, sending to the server. Suppose they are building a website. So website has many pages like home page, the contact us page, the services page, like there are many pages. So they would parallelly be doing components. Instead of doing the entire thing and deploying on the server, they will do some certain portions, test it and then deploy it and see what is going on. Okay, so that is how the agile model works. Why is it good? Because it is iterative. Iterative means again and again they will do small portions and in that way finish it instead of doing the entire thing at one time. So everyone is working and everyone is involved in this process. Okay, and also because it is iterative, it is flexible to change. Like while the work is being done, somebody said that no, I don't like this part, you have to change it. So you can easily change it because you are used to working in iterations in small portions. But when entire thing is built and then some change has to go, then it would be more difficult. So that's why this model is being used by DevOps, so that parallelly most works is being done. Okay, and waterfall model is sequentials. Mostly these questions are these are theory, they are asked in interviews, like what is the feature of waterfall model. So waterfall model, you will say, is sequential. It happens step by step, and until one of the steps is over, the next step is not going to be started. But agile model is iterative. You take small portions of the entire thing and complete it, then you take small portion of that thing and then do it again until the entire task is finished. Okay.